Welcome back to Sweet Science Boxing and MMA here in Hawthorne, California. I'm Chris, your boxing enthusiast, and with me, as always, is professional boxing coach and insider, Coach Marco Trejo.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, man?
Are we live?
Yeah, we're
Okay. Just checking.
It's been a long time since you asked me that.
I'm not sure. I wasn't sure.
That's like an ongoing gag. Our first few episodes, Coach would ask me if we were live every time. Are we live yet?
Just figuring it
You
out.
got to get used
and
to
the
it.
sirens. There's a throwback to
Nice.
the sirens.
Drink.
It used to be. Yeah, I know. It used to be a staple of the show. We'd get the sirens every Sunday.
That's how you know we're in a good neighborhood.
Exactly. You know, introduce our guest.
Yeah, we've got a professional boxer fighting out of DG Boxing in Long Beach, Jarret Jeter.
Yes.
Welcome to the
Welcome.
show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, I was saying earlier off air that I've been watching Jarret box from the amateurs. I think I saw him when he had about 18 fights, and then he finished his amateur career with 37. Saw some of his pro fights, and now I think he's not exactly a seasoned veteran, but moving up to more than prospect. I think you've got maybe 4 or 5 more fights where you might be looking at some of those early titles, those kind of junior titles. So, I think you got a bright future ahead. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you fought a couple amateur fights here, right?
Yeah, I believe 2 I had.
Did you?
Yeah.
No way. Well, that's probably where I saw him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's where you saw him.
Yeah.
Did you win?
Won one, lost one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know we had plenty of sparring here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? You
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
did a lot of sparring.
Fun and
Did you ever beat up Coach?
No, I didn't get in there. I'm not that stupid.
When's the last time you were sparring, Coach?
I think I sparred 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I sparred Joey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
He kicked his ass. No, just kidding.
Nice.
Yeah. No, he's 132.
Way to go. Let's put it on blast here on the
No.
YouTube live channel.
No, he
Yeah, plus he's like 120 pounds.
he's 132. And I'm like,
He's like 17 years old.
18.
Oh, wow.
No, I just
he's 18.
no, he kicked my butt. I'm not gonna lie. This kid's got a lot of energy, but he was surprised at how well I did. So, anyways,
He was surprised by it?
Yeah,
I hope not. You're the coach, man. You
I
should-
know,
you
but
should know what's up.
most of the people in here don't see me spar. They just see me hold mitts and tell them what to do on the bag. So,
Yeah.
I try not to get in the ring that much because there's a line between coach and then sparring partner or another boxer.
Yeah.
I think if you cross that line too much, when you get in the ring, what's your job? To do damage to the other guy, right?
Yeah,
Whether
yeah.
it's your coach or somebody else,
That's
you
true.
want to be the one giving the damage, not receiving it. So I try not to spar too much.
So, Jarrett, you mentioned you've been with the same coach all that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's 9-10 years now?
Yeah, 2009, January I started at
Yeah.
my gym, yeah.
That's fantastic. So you guys have a good working relationship. Does he game plan for you? Or when it comes to preparing for your fights, how do you work with the coach to figure out what you need to be working on?
He'll spend a little more time with me, more rounds on the bag. Sometimes he might take me to a movie and then we'll discuss boxing afterward, just
Yeah.
to relax and
Just to
kick
lighten it up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah,
Well, that's
whatnot.
cool. Deliver it with a spoonful of sugar. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not all boxing all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have really good stablemates, good boxers coming out of DG Boxing.
Mhm.
But I know that coach puts he has a lot of high hopes for you. Do you ever
Yeah.
feel a lot of pressure from him?
Not just him, but our people from the gym and
Yeah.
whatnot. It's pressure, but that's boxing, I guess. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that. Well, we should mention you're coming off a win, right? So
Mhm.
you fought on an all-star card. Actually, we talked about the all-star card just a few weeks ago
Yeah.
on the show.
okay.
So you fought on that card, right? And it was a rematch
Yes,
against
it
your opponent.
was.
So you won a split decision? It was?
Yes.
Split decision. And so I wanted to ask you about this because the first one went down. There was basically they had to go to the scorecards early, right?
Yeah,
Is that
technical decision.
Technical decision because of a headbutt?
Yes, in the 4th rounds, he was cut. It was scheduled for 6 rounds. He got cut in the 4th, and so they went to the scorecards and gave him the victory.
Okay. And so you guys got to rematch. When was the first fight?
February this year.
February this
Yeah,
year.
so
Okay,
little while
so you guys ran it back. So you have 8 wins in your career.
Mm-hmm.
Did this one mean something different to you because you were avenging a loss? Like, was it something where you felt like you got to close the loop on that one, and now it's easier to move?
It's been on me and my coach's mind ever since, and it was, I guess, a lot of extra pressure on me too to prove to myself that I should have deserved that first win. And
yeah. Plus, I imagine, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but does it feel like there's some unfinished business because of the way that it ended? It's not like it went the distance and he got a decision after 6 rounds, right? It ended because of an accidental headbutt.
Yes.
So does that add to the sort of that sense of frustration, or?
Yeah, a lot of frustration. We weren't happy about it, but it was what it was, and so we avenged it, I think, in this fight.
We were actually talking about something like this. The World Boxing Super Series, you see when Donaire won his title, like
against
Ryan Burnett.
And that horrible injury.
Yeah, like he just pulled a muscle in his back and then lost his title. It's got to be frustrating on both sides, right? The technical decision aspect of it.
Yeah, that's boxing. It's a shame. Maybe they'll fight again.
Yeah, but they have to let the whole series play out, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Afterward,
does it make a big difference to you though if you win, say by knockout, or I mean, if the guy's injured and the victory goes to you, it's still a win? Would you prefer to win with a knockout, or just a victory is a victory, walk out of the ring without any damage and the W? Does it make a difference?
In a sense, a win, but still, I of course feel better.
Yeah.
Have it decisive,
Yeah. So how many most of your fights have been on All-Star? Have been on All-Star cards?
Yeah, I forget how many, but probably at least 4.
Okay.
4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as my first one.
One of the reasons I wanted Jarrett in here too is, Rooster fought the other day. Rooster fought a lot of times on All-Star.
Yeah.
I feel that Jarrett's probably going to be the next one coming out of the All-Star cards that's going to transition into bigger fight cards, maybe televised or the Facebook Live or on a Golden Boy. And All-Star's got kind of a history with what they had. Nonito Donaire came from there. Charles Martin.
Rooster. Ismail Salak, Rooster.
Yeah, so they've had some really good fighters develop, and I kind of feel like that's the same route you're going. Have you been offered some of those bigger fights already?
Yeah, we've had some. I had an offer, and I fought in Vegas actually in August for my biggest fight. I lost, but it was a good learning experience. I'm glad to be there, and hopefully they have me back. So
it's still early in your career, so
yeah,
I mean,
no pressure, by the way. It's like you're the next guy coming out of All-Star.
I think so.
Not at all.
But no pressure.
but no pressure. It's 4-2. Did I tell you that we actually tried to pull him as a guest because I was at that All-Star card?
Right.
We tried to pull him as a guest on the show. I didn't mention that to you, did I?
No, I mean I was listening to the show with Daniel.
Yeah,
well, I didn't. I mean,
while we were there that night, I didn't mention it on the show. But while we were there that night, so my wife went to give you a card, a beat the count card, and tell you about the show. And she had like an allergic attack, so she went outside and started having a sneezing and coughing fit, and was like embarrassed to give you a card because that happened in front of your team, I guess. And so she was like, came back in and was like, I didn't give him the card, where he's not coming on the show. And then you sent me a message and said he's coming on after that.
Worked out.
Yeah, so
meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. It was meant to be.
Nice.
Match made in heaven. So do you have any plans for the rest of this year, or do you know what your next fight is going to be? I know we're just coming off it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, probably at least maybe January, February. Maybe I would have liked to fight sooner, but I actually popped my eardrum in that fight, so I need to let that heal up a bit before I can go back to sparring and whatnot.
Yeah, so you had mentioned to me before this that's happened a few times, right?
Yeah, pretty unlucky with that. Hitting the eardrums.
Getting hit in the, it started back from before amateurs and stuff like that,
yeah,
right?
The first time it was 7th grade, actually.
7th grade, yeah.
Slap boxing with a friend at middle school, and
Oh, there you go.
That was
Slap
popular.
boxing.
That was popular back in the day.
Yeah.
It might sound, but back, when I was a kid, slap boxing, people did that all the time.
Yeah, I think slap boxing's been around for a while.
It's probably one of the oldest sports.
There you go.
But it's okay, so it acts up every now and again.
Does that mean, I guess, you're prone to kind of eardrum damage with that?
I don't know if it's that or I'm unlucky or what, but
It's interesting because I had always heard, we were actually talking about this a little while ago. I had always heard that messes with your equilibrium and your balance, but you're saying that for you, it doesn't really have that impact, right?
I never messed up my balance. Maybe it hasn't been that extreme for me because my ear didn't bleed at all. It just started ringing and I couldn't quite hear as well. But
does the absence of hearing impair any way, like corner instruction? Is there anything that you feel like you're missing when that happens?
No, I blocked it out. I didn't really start noticing it until after the fight.
Oh, okay.
And people were talking to me in music and whatnot. Well, like one ear was normal and the other ear was like I was hearing music from like a closed door from another room. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah. So you're fresh off a fight right now. Are you frequenting the gym? Are you still training, or is this like a relaxation period?
Both. I took the week off from training, but I was back in work. I work also at my gym, so
Okay. Yeah.
I've been in there and work. So, and I'll be back in training this week now.
Yeah, it's something I think I've observed about sort of modern athletes. They seem to always be training, always in shape.
I mean, you don't.
You
want to stay in shape so you don't have to get into it,
Yeah. So so we talked a little bit about this beforehand, but we didn't get too much into detail. How do you stay on point with things like nutrition and diet and things like that? Because Coach and I have talked about having expert sort of opinions in this way is kind of a luxury. You know what I mean? Not everybody can benefit from that. So how do you make sure that you're doing the right things for cutting weight, for your health, and everything like that?
I think most of it's just not getting too big after a fight, so I don't have to train as hard to
lose all that.
Yeah, I can focus more on actually boxing and whatnot, and just making smart choices with food.
Do you have a nutritionist that you work with?
No.
What weight do you fight at? 130?
Last one was 132.
Okay.
Want to probably, hopefully, shrink down a little.
Yeah.
We'll see. But
so you walk around in that vicinity then.
Mm-hmm.
You stay sort of in that 130, 40 kind of range.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're feeling comfortable at that? You're feeling comfortable at that weight?
Oh, yeah. I felt great in my last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you started boxing, you said you were...
my first amateur fight was 159 pounds.
Really?
But yeah, I was a chubby kid though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was not like yoked up. I was just a chubby kid.
That's hard to believe, man.
When I first started boxing, ninth grade, I was about 175 or so. So, I didn't always used to eat so well,
It's so hard to believe.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're so fit now and everything like that, and you're naturally seem like you're a good size. You know what I mean? Like not too big, not too small, like sort of in terms of you see some guys and they appear like Anthony Joshua, for instance. Sometimes I look at him like, man, like should he be that big?
Yeah, he's a big guy.
And he keeps saying he's gonna trim down and then like he'll come in and weigh even more. He'll be like 260 and then 265. Like,
well, he seems like he has the body type. If he just starts working out, he just gets huge right away. He has those genetics. Plus he's a heavyweight. But
yeah, I mean, some of these guys, it's interesting. Like you look at, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I saw Sean Porter in an interview. Mm-hmm. So he mentioned that he actually had a win over Oleksandr Usyk in the amateurs.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Yeah, and that it was at like 160 or something like that. Yeah, like in the amateurs, it was somewhere in the 160s. And he said he had a win over, and of course he mentioned though that scoring was different back then. He said it was they were keeping track of the punches, and whoever had the most won, and in between rounds they would tell you who was up by how many points. And so I guess he lost the first 2 rounds, but then made up for all those points in the third round, so that he ended with more points than Usyk did. They asked him if he'd be interested in fighting him again. He said no way.
Man, I would.
Yeah, no.
You know, and we mentioned that there's a handful of guys that have fought each other in the amateurs, you know, current champions. I would love to see footage of that, or
that would be
or
cool.
would have been there, you know. It would have been amazing just to watch. And especially now knowing that these guys are champions, and see how they kind of dealt with, or the style that they fought at a different weight class, because most of the guys were heavier than what they fight in the pros.
Yeah.
You know, to see how they managed that, what type of style they fought in.
He kind of went through his whole amateur resume, Sean Porter did, and it's all guys who are in heavier divisions now. It's like Danny Jacobs, he fought in the amateurs, and, you know, like all names like that. Oleksandr Usyk, bunch of different current world champions.
I think that speaks a lot to the kind of the effect of that extra day that you have to cut weight in the pros. Because if you can get really good at it and you know, drop 10 pounds in one day.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the amateurs, you got to weigh the same day. So it's if you're draining yourself too much to make weight, by the time you fight a few hours later, you're not gonna have anything. So
So I think that's interesting. Like, it's the difference is because, you know, now, like with all we talked about the different weight regulations and stuff that the different sanctioning bodies are trying to put into place. Like, I think 2 now of the sanctioning bodies will not allow you to weigh more than 10% above your contractual weight limit on the day of the fight. So like if you're contracted 160 pounds, you can't come in weighing more than 176. Like, you know, you can't Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. the fight.
I can't
Weight
bully him.
Weight bully people.
Okay.
So I think the WBC now is doing that, and I think what was it, IBO or IBF already does that.
They did that too.
Yeah, because Danny Jacobs, remember,
when
like
he
fought Golovkin.
Talk about that.
Yeah, he wouldn't do the day of weigh-in.
Morning weigh-in.
He wouldn't do the morning weigh-in so he wasn't
was
eligible to win. Yeah. But I mean, it's a smart move, though. He wasn't eligible to win that title, though, for that reason. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, so if you don't weigh in after, then I guess it removes you from
contention for the
Really?
belt. Yeah. So you have to weigh in on the morning.
It's an obligation then, huh? If you want to get.
Yeah.
Wow.
An obligation.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they're trying to get people close. Actually, Coach and I had this discussion, I think, a few weeks ago on the podcast where I said, but that was I think the point of weight classes has always been that you're fighting people who are roughly the same size as you, right? Like it's not the fact that people were able to game the system and actually come in 25 pounds above the weight limit is sort of an after effect. Like it's a way that people found out how to, like I said, game the system. Like the intention is you're supposed to be fighting men who are the same size.
I think so too. More in modern times, but you know, there wasn't as many weight classes initially when boxing first started, and maybe up until like the 60s or 70s, there probably wasn't even that many. Even the 80s, there wasn't that many weight classes. Now there's a ton of weight classes, but I mean, back in the day, you'd have those big weight. You know, not discrepancies, but those big weight differences, and fighters would be in the same weight class. You know, just because they were kind of on the fringe of too low or too high. You know, so they fought in that one weight class. And I mean, I think it's good to have a limit though for the day after. I mean, you don't want to put on. I think it could be a disadvantage if somebody puts on 15 pounds.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it could slow them down, actually, if they want to put on so much. So I think if they could regulate it and just make it a maximum of, what was it, like 10%?
I think it's 10% of the contracted weight. Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the end it's a benefit to everybody. You know,
I can't remember. I actually don't recall if it's 10 pounds or 10%. I think it was a percentage though. I think it was a percentage of their weight, not like a 10-pound limitation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, the most important thing about the weigh-in after is just the rehydration. It's just lots of fluids. You know, it's hard to say if you could put on more than the 10%. That is it going to slow you down? Is it going to make you stronger? Are you going to feel better?
Yeah.
Or if you keep it within a certain amount that, you know, I don't know. It's fair for both guys, but We'll see. But I think that's a good rule, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I think so. You had mentioned that you had some challenging weight cuts in the past. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So did that manifest itself in the fight? Like, did you feel different at the time of the fight? Were you sluggish? Was there energy loss or
A little lethargic.
lethargic? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple questions here. So, is Jarret from our gym? No, Jarret's from DG Boxing, right?
Yeah.
DG Boxing. So professional, you are 8-3-1 with 2 KOs, right?
Yes.
As a professional, yeah, coming off a win, a rematch win for All Star Boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Steve McCowan. I'll give a shout out. Tyler Hercules Howard is going to fight on Top Rank on ESPN next Saturday. So Steve asked us to throw that out. So
nice.
Thanks. Happened to do that. And then one more thing, Chris Zavala is going to be fighting on December 8th at StubHub. Do we know who else is on that card? If that is the HBO card, then that would be Cecilia Brackhouse and Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez.
Nice.
That's their final card, December 8th. So yeah, it's headlined by Brackhouse and Roman Gonzalez. So that'll be interesting. Maybe I should go to that. That's just right over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who's Chocolatito's opponent? That's what I'm interested.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it depends on who that is. I mean, the last fight seemed like they're trying to get him back on the right foot again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that was on the undercard of Canelo Triple G, right?
Yeah,
That was,
seems
yeah,
like.
yeah.
I mean, he's gonna fight a good opponent with a good record, but nobody that's extremely dangerous like the man who beat him twice.
Yeah, Rung Visai.
Yeah. Well, one of those is questionable though. Sorang Visai, I think
I thought he won the first
one. A lot of people thought that it was close and competitive. A lot of people, I think, thought Chocolatito might have won.
Yeah, they gave he got dropped early, right? And then he came back really strong, though. I thought he's super dominant throughout the fight, but that's one of those that you could argue. I mean, either way.
Tough to score, but
Yeah. Speaking like that Rooster fight, so Neeco Macias and Soto Karass.
He threw less but landed more.
Threw less but landed more. Man, that's
And Soto
it's got to be a challenging fight to score, don't you
threw
think?
more but landed less, slightly less.
Yeah, he threw a lot more and landed.
It was
slightly
like
less.
600 landed for Neeco and 500 landed for Soto Karass. But I saw Soto was landing the harder punches.
There's something I never thought I would say on the air.
Right?
Someone threw a lot more punches than Neeco Macias.
Man.
Dude, if you guys didn't check that out, it was on ESPN on Thursday night fights on ESPN. It was actually their final, Golden Boy's final ESPN
For the year?
performance. No, their deal is up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
wow.
Oh,
So
okay.
they posted like a, farewell.
So everything's going to be on DAZN then?
Not just DAZN, on Facebook and
Okay.
on, I'm
Facebook.
sure they have other
Mm.
contractual methods for
Well,
putting it out there.
Good way to end it with that fight. I mean, at some point when that fight, I was thinking Soto Karass was going to tire, but veteran that he was and that he is, I mean, he really toughed it out, and he matched Rooster's punch for punch, and then outdid him in a lot of the rounds.
It's a difficult thing to score, though, man.
How
Like
old is Soto Karass?
37?
37.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
37 years old. His retirement fight, that was his.
Yeah, but after the fight, they asked him, "Are you still going to retire?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I got to think about it now." After
You know why?
How-
Because
how
they
now?
should run it back, man.
What?
I said
they should rematch that.
Yeah, they should run it back.
I think they should rematch
It's
that.
entertaining, man. That's I've said it a million times. It's like I wish Neeco all the success in the world. He's good for this. It's entertaining. It's good for the sport of boxing. It's good for fans, right? So I think they should just run it back. Like, why not? Do it again.
I feel.
Do it again, man.
Nah, I because I know Rooster personally. I want to see him develop some of those skills he's lacking.
Yeah.
Because he will always have that high volume of punching. But
True.
if he can develop a little bit more turn on his punches, a little bit better head movement, and maybe some better footwork, angles, but still stay in your face, he can go far. And I think that type of fight, even though he's that type of fighter, that type of fight takes a lot out of you. Somebody that can match you punch for punch and set records as far as punch volume, that's got to take a lot out of you. And for, I don't know if the promoters or the managers just want him to fight those types of fights or they want to develop them. But I think he can develop still. So I would rather have, because he can beat guys like Marvin Cabrera and some, those type of fighters in the mid-level, because that volume is going to really be overwhelming. But if he makes an instant jump to these type of veterans, yeah, I mean, it'll make for great fights, but it's not going to develop him. It's just more excitement for the fans, which is good, and then, exciting and good for the promoters. But in the long term, I don't think it's a good look for him.
De La Hoya had some really encouraging words.
I have to see it. What do you say?
I'll paraphrase. He effectively said that with a fight of that caliber, that Neeco is a winner, even though
there's
he
no
lost.
loser in that
There's no loser in that fight, essentially is what he said. And then he said something along the lines of, hey, I've got 5 losses on my record, so you've still got a ways to go before you catch up to me, and I turned out okay. That's kind of what De La Hoya said to him. And then he said, also, you have a few things that we need to tweak, a few things that we need to work on, but we are behind you 1,000%. Everybody's behind you 1,000%, and we want to see you succeed. So we're going to work on those things, and we'll. Yeah. That was kind of what Oscar's 2 cents was.
Yeah, well, that's my thought. He's got a lot of potential because you don't find boxers with that kind of motor, and hardly ever.
Rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they can actually, if Oscar's sincere about that, they can tweak those things, and he can do some damage. He can go far. I don't know that there would be another boxer, maybe just only Soto Karass, that could have gone toe to toe with him.
That's the thing. How many people? Many people can do that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think they could run it back later. Maybe wait like a year or 2 years. Let Rooster work on his skills and give him some lesser opponents to try those new skills.
You're gonna let Soto get a little bit older? No.
There you go. it's the Triple G
the
effect.
Triple G. We were talking about this beforehand. Actually, I was saying the suspension actually kind of helped Canelo in that sense.
I said it was on purpose.
Gives you time to. Yeah, Coach is a conspiracy theorist, right? So he thinks it was all planned, but I kind of just think it was the machine, the boxing machine.
Interesting.
Hey, I wanted to ask Jarret, because I was actually at the gym. I think it was sometime last year, and you got some rounds with Oscar Valdez, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was tough week. He's a really nice guy. Boy, he can hit, and thing about his punch, it wasn't so much the power, but the speed at which he got it off. That was tricky, but I learned a lot, and
I think sometimes the acceleration just, that's where power is coming from in a lot of cases, right? Like it's surprising power because you're getting so much acceleration, so much speed on those shots.
So quickly.
Well, he seems to want to knock you out with every punch, right?
Yeah, he throws a lot of power shots.
Yeah, I think he's changing up his style a little bit now that he's with a new trainer.
With Canelo's team, right?
Yeah. But have you sparred any other champions or high-level world-class pros like Oscar?
With, Santa Cruz I sparred with.
And nice.
Jesse Magdaleno.
A lot of good names.
Yeah. Probably maybe others I can't remember at the moment, but the most notable. Valdez and Cruz.
Who was the toughest, and who did you do the best against in sparring? Don't name names. Name names.
Well,
who did you expose in sparring?
I don't want to say
No,
exposed.
I know.
Anyway,
I'm just messing around.
I mean, that's pretty awesome to get in the ring with those guys, right?
Yeah,
no, it is for sure.
It was an honor. Yeah, I would say. Well, say the toughest was Valdez, but I think I also did better against him too. Probably because he, being a power puncher, probably more open.
Stay in front of you more, right?
Yeah, compared to Cruz was actually for me actually surprisingly hard for me to hit him cleaner.
He moved around a lot.
Yeah, he was.
Or a lot of volume.
He was training for the Carl Frampton rematch.
Oh, okay.
And it showed in the fight. He was working a lot on defense, and it transferred over in that fight.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So in sparring, it was a lot of that defensive tactic that he was
Mhm.
bringing to it. Okay.
Mhm.
So what's it feel like when you're in the ring with these guys one day, 1 week you're training with them, sparring them, and then a few days later you see them on TV, big mega fight, What's like the thought that goes through your head?
How would I do against them in there, and comparing myself to their opponent and whatnot.
Yeah.
How would I do? What would I do? Whatnot.
It's funny. I actually asked him something similar beforehand. I was like, as a fighter, do you still get to enjoy fights as a fan, or are you always analyzing what's taking place, And you kind of said that you're always looking for things that you can incorporate or things that you would have done differently, right?
Yeah.
But you still enjoy boxing, though.
Yeah, and sometimes I might just watch a fight and sit back, and then maybe I'll watch it a second time and more analyze it more.
Yeah.
Second time,
Do you watch? So for the guys who you're gonna fight, do you watch anything on them? Like, do you actually sit down and try and find clips of them, like on YouTube and other stuff like that?
I try to if I can.
If it's there.
Yeah.
Well, with the All-Star stuff, I mean, you guys are on Facebook Live, right? So they can anytime you're on an All-Star.
They had my last one live.
So yeah, definitely. I think they could. Yeah, you could see your whole last fight if you guys haven't had a chance. If you go to All-Star's Facebook page, they have the live stream of the whole last card. They've been doing that for the last couple cards, actually. Maybe even longer. It's just I didn't realize it.
Is there a broadcast team on there, or is there like a commentary?
Yeah,
there was
really?
commentary.
Yeah. They're actually a group of guys who do a podcast called Against the Ropes. Yeah, and they also do commentary for All-Star Boxing.
Oh, nice.
So I gave them my card, man. Maybe they'll come on.
Oh, sweet.
You know what I mean? Try and they said they would. So I'm waiting for the email. No. I'm just
Nice.
You could put in a good word for me next time.
I don't know if my word counts.
Of course it does, man. Of course it does. But yeah, so a couple things. We were also talking about Usyk and Bellew before we came on. So you mentioned that you saw the knockout, right?
Yeah, that's all I saw. But that was a highly anticipated fight. I think that was a really good matchup. Man, just the knockout was. Bellew hit him with the left hook right before, like Usyk's coming in with a jab, and then Bellew landed a pretty solid left hook. Kind of just threw Usyk off balance, but then Usyk just kept throwing and finished him up with that left hook.
Yeah, I think
Nasty left hook, though.
Earlier in that round, he had found a home for that punch, and that was actually probably maybe the fifth or even sixth time he landed it. Yeah, so it was like he landed it multiple times in the round. He had already hurt Tony once before that with basically the same punch, and he was kind of stepping around Tony, and as Tony was pivoting to try and square up with him, he would catch the left hook. There were a few times where he doubled it up, where I don't think Tony expected it to come the second time. So like he had Tony pinned down in the corner, and he threw two in a row, and the second one caught Tony pretty good. And then that last one was just right in the middle of the ring, just the combination, just boom, boom, and right, and that was it. Like it was. I
thought Bellew looked in. I don't want to say the best shape that he's ever been, but he looked really good before the fight at the weigh-in. So
he said he didn't have a problem making weight. He ate breakfast and everything that morning. He was able to. He said he had scrambled eggs and stuff like that, so he was able to eat breakfast that morning. But it had been a long time since he had to worry about that kind of cut. Once you get up to heavyweight, there's no cap really. So not for the likes of Tony Bellew. So.
Well, I want to ask, what's next for Usyk?
Well, if you listen to Usyk and his team, it sounds like they're interested in the heavyweight division.
Wow.
So I think that obviously they've had. It would be silly, I think, to jump straight in and try fights with Anthony Joshua and the like. So you know what I mean. You have to experience heavyweight somewhat. I don't think. Here's the thing. Tony Bellew, in all respect, he looked like he was in tremendous shape. He had even said before this fight that if he was going to win, he was going to have to stop Oleksandr Usyk. He was going to have a war with Usyk, and Usyk would have to stop him. That he wouldn't be able to outpoint him. right? But he found a home for the right hand, and he was up on 2 judges' scorecards, and I thought he was winning at the time of the knockout, right? So I think I had it like 4 rounds to 3 in favor of Bellew at the time of the knockout. So my feeling about it was, if Tony Bellew can find a home for the right hand, and if he can be outpointing you, then what happens if that's not Tony Bellew, right? Like, what if it's an actual heavyweight? So someone who doesn't have to struggle with weight cut, or isn't cutting weight down to cruiserweight, which they haven't done in years. Someone who's not on the tail end of their career and retiring.
Yeah.
And people who have advantages over you. So that's the one thing, is that Bellew didn't have a lot of tremendous advantages. Once you go up to heavyweight, these guys are taller than you. They have a longer reach than you. They're larger men than you are. They're bigger than you, right? So and even though your boxing skills, like, he has a lot of advantages too, right? He's got movement, boxing technique, movement. He's got footwork. So he has a lot of advantages, but he's also giving up some of those, especially when you look at the people at the top of the division. I don't think this fight answers all the questions about if he can compete at heavyweight. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you beat Tony Bellew in his retirement fight, and he was winning on the cards when he shouldn't have been, or everybody said there's no reason for him to be winning decisions, right? And that he found a home and was connecting on right hands. It's like, it was a great knockout. It was not a great performance. It was, you know what I mean? Like, it was a great knockout, but the performance could have been better. He didn't run away with every round like he did in the World Boxing Super Series final, where you're just like, yeah, he just pitched a shutout. Right. He wasn't pitching a shutout, you know?
Yeah, I mean, could he outbox someone like Luis Ortiz? Could he outbox even a Parker? I mean, Parker, maybe, but Parker's not a bad boxer. Could he outbox a Tyson Fury and do some damage? Can he hurt those guys?
I mean, and those are people who have, like, look at Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has tremendous advantages. Yeah. He's way taller, has a way longer reach. He's a much, much bigger man, right? Like, and I think that I mentioned this on Facebook. I should pull up the Facebook post, man. I was getting hate for saying that Luis Ortiz people thought that was ridiculous, that I thought that Luis Ortiz could cause problems for
Usyk?
Yeah.
That's plausible.
That's crazy. I didn't even read that post. Was that on Rick Glazer's post?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, it was.
I just saw that you posted, but I didn't read it.
So
That's
he
funny.
said, because he said that first. The first thing that he said was he basically said he would dust Luis Ortiz, like no problem, right? And I was like, well, I just don't think the math adds up, right? Like, I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, yes, but an aging Tony Bellew who is winning on the cards and doing that doesn't mean that you would dust Luis Ortiz, like that it would be easy. Like, I don't know why you would think it would be easy, that's an easy fight. And so I commented as much, and I received some hate for that.
Really? I gotta go back and read that.
I had someone post on my thing, commenting back and forth like 10 times on that, because giving me hate on the Luis Ortiz.
You got him triggered.
I'm not alone. These guys are up here with me, man.
That's funny. Well, the one thing that I wonder sometimes is, when you're a good boxer, when you clean out a division, I get that there's motivation to move up in weight class, probably for the money. Promoters want you to move up to make some big money fights, or some unification, or some instant title fight. But I mean, wouldn't it be more satisfying to stay in that division and just own it for a long time? I don't know. What do you think? Since you're a pro boxer, I mean, why move up if you beat everybody? Stay there and let people come to you, right?
I had that opinion about, say, Mikey Garcia jumping back and forth between weight classes. Crawford as well. I prefer one to dominate their division for years and years.
Yeah, and to be clear, for Steven, I'm not saying that he couldn't beat Ortiz. I'm just saying that performance doesn't just equate to an absolute demolition of Ortiz. I don't look at it and think that it's an easy fight by any stretch of the word. Luis Ortiz is a talented fighter. So
depends how his power carries over. And there's always that saying too in boxing that a good big man always beats a good small man. Yeah. So and then he's a great small. He's not small, but going up to heavyweight, he'd be a great small man versus good big man. And man, that extra weight carries it's not like he's gonna gain weight and then he's gonna be like a 225. But there's gonna be solid 225ers that naturally move, in that weight. So I think it's a mistake.
I don't know if it's a mistake. I mean, he could definitely do it. You look at, there's been successful transitions. The thing is, and what do you guys think about this? So one of the comments I made on this was that I think it's the hardest transition of any compared to, like, let's say we were talking about moving from welterweight to super welterweight or something like that. When you're talking about a guy going to heavyweight, he's dealing with people who don't really have to deal with weight cut issues and people who are, you know what I mean? Like, so like the distribution of where a fighter can be is so much greater. Like, if you look at Deontay Wilder, he was 215 for his last fight against Luis Ortiz. And then you look at Anthony Joshua, he's 260. No other weight class has to deal with that type of discrepancy.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the move to heavyweight in particular is a harder move than any other weight class move.
Yeah, exactly.
You
That's what
know,
I'm saying.
Especially now with even bigger and bigger heavyweights. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're massive.
Yeah.
Like I just don't feel like men used to. I don't know, Coach. You probably have a better idea, but men in the heavyweight division, I don't think used to be like 6'9" and like.
No, you know what's crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
Even in the amateurs now, I'm seeing heavyweights that are humongous, man.
Yeah.
And we've got some big heavyweights. I mean, we got some guys that are like 6'4". 6'4" is not small. And I was talking to a heavyweight the other day, and he's like, "There's bigger guys than me, huh?" I'm like, "Dude, there's massive guys right now." I mean, there's one out of Broadway, there's a couple out of Carson. I mean, we're talking like 6'7".
Yeah.
And not just like really skinny, really. I mean, these guys are filled out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know how old Usyk is, but why not pick a fight with Ward?
I
Pick
I
a
just
fight.
said that.
Pick a
actually.
fight with the Crusher.
Well, he's smaller and kind of on the end of it.
But that's what he should do. Why not be
game.
the big man and pick on smaller guys
Yeah.
instead of going up and letting the big guys pick on you?
To that point, I actually just said on the chat a second ago that I think Ward would be the best fight for him right now. Before going to heavyweight, go to Andre Ward, because
Make
one
some
of those
money.
two men is going to make. I mean, Andre Ward already has a great legacy, but that fight for either of them, the winner is like.
Pound for pound.
Yeah, like easily, right? Whoever wins that one, you're like, oh, that's the guy. That's.
Well, I wouldn't say there's a lot of hype on Usyk because he's proven. I wouldn't call it hype, but there's a lot of excitement the way that he moves. Everybody says he's just a bigger version of Lomachenko. There's the way that these Ukrainian guys are fighting right now with really good movement, angles, and just that southpaw that's always giving people problems.
Yeah.
I think, the Ward fight would be really exciting. Yeah, and from there, that's a good launching pad for both of them, win or lose. They say, well, now I'm going to heavyweight. Either one, win or lose, go to heavyweight. So, yeah.
Get
I
a
agree.
shout out on the chat. Veins91, DG Boxing Amateur here, and he said, "What's up?"
Nice.
It's Gareth.
Oh, what? What's up, Garrett?
What's going on, man? Thanks for coming on Beat the Count.
Is that a sparring partner of yours? Or?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
You said you work at the gym too, right?
Yeah, I didn't know he even knew about.
Maybe it's because of the Instagram post.
Oh.
People
sure,
are
sure.
watching.
Okay. Wow.
The Instagram post. You can follow. What's your Instagram? We should plug your Instagram, man.
Jarret Jeter.
That's the easy one to remember.
Yeah, that's just my name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Follow him on Instagram. Jarret Jeter. That's where do you post regularly?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'm a novice at the Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, you could hashtag things crazy.
Yeah.
I'm
You know
still
what?
learning how to do it.
Instagram is these days is just so annoying to me, man.
Yeah.
It's one of the most annoying things about social media.
Instagram?
Is Instagram, mainly because people post everything. I post some stuff about the gym, maybe like just some highlights of us training in here. But I mean, you got people that are, oh, this is what I'm eating for breakfast. This is what I'm eating for lunch. This is what I'm eating for dinner.
Life stories.
Oh yeah,
That's like a thing, right? To take pictures of your food. That's like that people do that now.
yeah.
right?
But I mean,
We're just old and don't understand.
well, they post everything.
I don't
like
either.
I'm driving.
I was gonna
It's like I'm driving on the
We're
street.
just old men and we
I'm
don't get
here.
it.
I mean, they post everything, where they're at, what they're eating, who they're with, everything. Everything's a moment that has to be captured by Instagram, which I guess is fine. But these days, I just tend to like.
You don't care?
I'm just like, I don't care. You know, it's like, come on, dude.
I think this happens to every generation. You know what I mean? You
That's
stop.
when you know you're getting old.
Understanding the music. You know, you stop understanding everything. You're like, is this music these days?
Once that one guy, what's his name? 6ix9ine. He's like the clown dude.
Oh yeah.
Like once that guy became popular, I said, I give up. I'm not even trying.
Who?
There's some guy named 6ix9ine, right? That's his name.
See, I'm not with it. You guys, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, he looks like a clown. Like he has
like really, or you
yeah.
just are you? That's a
no, really. He has rainbow colored hair, diamond teeth.
It's colorful.
He has the number 6'9" tattooed on him 69 times.
Yeah.
Really?
That's
a lot of tattoos.
And
are they on his face or?
Yeah, on his face, all over the place.
That's crazy.
He was having beef with Adrian Broner, so that's kind of how I found out about him. Like
he was beefing with Adrian Broner.
Yeah, he was beefing with Broner.
Are they gonna fight on pay-per-view?
I don't know. That might be the only person Broner could beat, though.
Oh man, that's
poor Broner.
Yeah, I don't like Broner.
Oh man,
he looks like a overgrown leprechaun when he's hitting the mitts. I don't know. I saw a video when he was hitting the mitts. He just looks, and he has no neck.
Well, yeah, he's a muscular dude for sure.
Yeah, he'll whoop my ass for sure, but
he's a
I
fit
don't like
dude.
him.
He has such a good chin.
Yeah.
He hits hard too.
Yeah, no, he's
at least at 140 he does. At 147 he doesn't seem to do the same. Doesn't have the same impact.
Well, he's got Pacquiao coming up, right?
Apparently,
supposedly,
January. Yeah.
So we've got Pacquiao, Broner, and then didn't Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence get officially announced? I've been seeing that everywhere.
Is
it official?
I don't know that it's actually official, and the reason I say that is because they confirmed that the venue, the Texas, AT&T Stadium and all that stuff, and the date March 16th. But then I saw Ellie Seckback or maybe it was Fight Hype or one of these guys posted a clip with Mikey Garcia where he said, if you don't see me saying it, then it's not real. We're still negotiating things, and people are just running away with things that aren't, so I don't know. So I don't know if it's official or not.
Well,
that's what I'm hearing.
That's a perfect place to hold it, I think,
I agree.
Somewhere in Texas.
Yeah,
you got good. You got all the Hispanic Mexican crowd for Mikey, and then the hometown crowd for Spence. So
yeah, that's true.
It'll sell out for sure. Plus pay-per-view or whatever it's gonna be on.
I don't know how many seats are in AT&T Stadium. It's gotta be. I don't know if it'll sell. Will it sell out that stadium?
Mikey
couldn't even sell out Staples Center.
That's
Spence's fans, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. But we went to Mikey Garcia's last fight here, and the whole top section was empty.
Really? Yeah, it was,
they did it was blocked off. They didn't even sell tickets up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's at least 60,000 at AT&T.
60.
Yeah.
No, they can't put 60,000 people in there. No way. That's like Anthony Joshua stuff. They can't do that.
Oh, that's true.
It's like filling stadiums. They can't fill no stadium.
Yeah.
But it is definitely where the fight would make. I think the biggest gate, the greatest attendance would be there. I agree.
Yeah, and I kind of want to see it there because Jerry Jones throws it out there, throws his stadium out there all the time, and lately he's been getting denied.
People are like, no.
Yeah, they're like,
we're not interested.
Yeah, we're good. It's like, come on, give him one, give him one.
Give the guy a fight.
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you think? Who do you got? Pacquiao, Broner. Where would you go with it?
Pacquiao.
Yeah, you think so?
I think he just out hustles Broner, honestly. Broner's had his issues with letting his punches off, so I think it'll be the same thing.
That's almost exactly what I said when we talked about it before.
Well, it seems like he doesn't want to fight back. Like he
freezes.
Yeah.
He freezes. When you throw punches in combination, he freezes, and then and if anybody can throw punches in combination, then Pacquiao can. You know what I mean? So I just don't see a way that he beats Pacquiao.
I don't.
Even an old Pacquiao, and I get that Broner's. Everyone will tell me Broner's still dangerous. I'm not saying he's not dangerous. I just don't. Yeah.
Gotta mentally be in it, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not dangerous. I just don't see it personally. All right, how about the other one? What about Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence?
That's an interesting one. I will go for Spence, but Garcia, like you were saying, he singled out Spence and really wants to fight him. So he sees something in him, and his trainer Robert Garcia seems to be down with it. So they have some good reason to fight him, I suppose, instead of Lomachenko. So, which is, I don't know about an easier fight, but less dangerous than
It certainly
Spence.
seems like it, right?
Well, even if he loses to Lomachenko, I don't think he'll be as hurt against Spence potentially.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's I mean, I guess the Spence fight's supposed to be a little bit easier or something. Right?
Easier than Loma?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, that's a tough position to be in for Mikey. Like, which fight do we take? Those are both hard fights.
Yeah.
You know, those are both really tough fights.
They are, but it's kind of like, so they had an opportunity. Here's what bothers me. They had an opportunity to unify the division. So, and what I mean by that is Lomachenko is going to fight Pedraza in December, and presumably he'll pick up the other belt, at which point Mikey would have 2, Loma would have 2, and it sets up the big showdown to create the undisputed champion at that weight class, right? There could not be more on the line, really. You know what I mean? Than that. That seems like, and they float around each other's weight classes all the time. Like, it seems like that's the fight that makes the most sense. And instead, he vacated a title, so that he can go and fight Errol Spence and not fight his mandatory in that division. So now, even if they were to fight, it wouldn't be for the undisputed championship because Mikey vacated a title, and I don't get it, man.
I don't know why he wouldn't want to be the man at 35.
Right? Like, how many there's like 2 undisputed champions in all of boxing right now.
Yeah.
Like Cecilia Brackhouse, Oleksandr Usyk, and like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, where's there more value, and what puts a stamp on your career? Changing weight classes and winning belts in different weight classes, or winning all the belts in one weight class.
There's a difference between winning all the belts in one weight class and winning all the belts in one weight class against Vasily Lomachenko. Right? Those are different things. If he just went to 140 and collected all the belts from a bunch of people that had belts, because they won based on their rankings and won belts that were vacated by Terrence Crawford, right? So, like, if he went to 140, picked up all the belts because they were all vacated by Terrence Crawford, that's not as big an accomplishment as becoming the undisputed champion by beating Lomachenko. That's a way bigger accomplishment. So it's not just like different weight classes. It's how that it was playing out with Lomachenko. I don't get it.
Well, it sets up potentially a big fight. I think mid to late 2019
between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just would have been cooler if it was for the undisputed championship.
I think if they fought, that's good enough.
You think so?
Yeah.
It would have been cooler.
Yeah.
Undisputed champions are cool.
Yeah, they are. They are. That's what I was saying. Like, I rather have, undisputed rather than like, multi-weight division champ, I think, but and also too, depending on, who's in your way, who's holding all the belts,
you're having to beat real fighters.
Yeah, because if you're just picking up a bunch of vacants, then
that's what he's doing.
Shit,
Like, look at and granted, not taking anything away from Mikey Garcia, but he's going and he's taking these belts. But, like, did he fight Jorge Linares for his belt? No. Did he fight Lomachenko? No. Like, he's fighting Sergey Lipinets, who only had 13 fights, right? So he picked up a belt in that division, but he picked it up off a guy with only 13 fights who did pretty good, actually.
Yeah, he's going after lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, he's
sure,
he's taking low-hanging fruit in all these divisions. Errol Spence is not that, right? So obviously you look at Errol and you're like, that's different.
Yeah.
That's different. And that's why if he can accomplish something against Errol Spence, it's a big deal. But all the belts he's picking up to this point, they're not like, he's not fighting the best guys in the division to pick up these belts. You know what I mean?
I know Mikey's got some skill, and him and Robert probably do see something, some weaknesses in Spence. However, I feel like it's gonna bite him in the ass. I think it's gonna work against them.
Certainly.
Once they actually
right?
Once they actually get in the ring and the size difference starts to come into play, kind of how Triple G and Abel were asking for Mexican style.
Yeah.
And they got Mexican style.
Yeah.
And guess what? It worked against them. Same thing. They're asking for Spence. They think they see something. they're gonna see something. I mean, Spence is gonna bring it.
Yeah.
I mean, when he puts his combinations together, they're pretty vicious. The way he finishes is very similar in the way that Oscar Valdez likes to finish his combinations. With just some speed and some power. So we'll see. But one thing we didn't bring up the last time I was on, and he's kind of in the mix, not really. And we were talking about this fight being on the Fury and Wilder card was Abner Mares and Cabbage Patch Gervonta Davis.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about it, but it's not on there for real.
It's not on.
No, they were just.
But they have been talking back and forth. And man, it's like, you got Mayweather doing this whole Ryzen thing, and then the kickboxing, right? And then
we didn't even talk about that.
No, he was supposed to get on there, but then you still got. I mean, all right, mate. That's why I said Mayweather's bad for boxing, because look, you got Gervonta, who's one hell of a fighter, should have his name in the mix with all these guys. Could potentially beat all these guys, and he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
But instead you got Mayweather over here trying to fight a kickboxer, and then he says, "Oh, they duped me. I was on stage doing a face-off because I thought it was like some photo op or something."
Oh man.
Good point.
Yeah. I mean, what did you think about that? Were you guys excited to see Mayweather fight a kickboxer?
No.
Even if it was, what if it was kickboxing though? Would you have wanted to see it then?
I wouldn't pay for it. I'll say it. If I didn't see it
if
for
I invited
free,
you over, would you come watch it for free?
I might, but I won't pitch in.
Yeah, you won't pitch in? Okay.
He might bring a bag of chips, and that's about it.
Yeah. Tortilla chips.
Yeah, some salsa.
But not the dip, though.
Yeah, no
I have
dip.
to supply the dip.
Yeah.
Even if it was kickboxing?
Well, I don't know why it makes sense. Why, because Mayweather's like, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And
yeah.
He's always like, money's the motivation. I'm like, well, okay, but money's the motivation, but what is the sense? What's the end game here? Why? And I had a friend bring it up, and he said he probably did that on purpose just to give like Ryzen the publicity, and that fighter too, maybe just to put their name out there for a little bit longer, or to bring some more attention to it. I said maybe because
did you see any of the press conference?
I saw parts of it, yeah.
Because he does look really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I was like, let me see if I can pull up some pictures of it. But I was looking at I remember as I was watching the video, I was like, man, he looks like extremely uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, are they doing some kickboxing or something?
Well, he was talking about it's supposed to be an exhibition match for some very wealthy, limited few spectators, and then it turned into something else. But
a 3-round exhibition where they got to pick the opponent, and then he arrived on that day, and they said it was going to be a televised pay-per-view and all this different stuff. Wow. And the opponent they picked was like a 21-0 kickboxing world champion.
Yeah, but then does Mayweather do anything small?
That's true. No.
Does he do anything small? No. I think he was going to do it, and then he saw that the guys actually could kick his face off.
I guess it depends on what you mean by small. I think what's implied by wealthy spectators what he's saying is I was going to get paid handsomely to fight this dude in a 3-round exhibition that wasn't even going to be on TV. And do I believe that he would do that? Yeah, for sure. Like if somebody was like, here, I'll give you, $70 million to fight 3 rounds, you know what I mean? I believe he would absolutely do that.
I would too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Fight a kickboxer?
Yeah.
126-pound kickboxer?
It's just very
in
confusing.
Kickboxing? No, I'm just
Maybe. I consider it.
Can he throw kicks? Oh, man. Yeah, that was weird. That whole thing was just weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird seeing Floyd on the wrong end of the deal.
Yeah,
like
that's
what
that
throws
before.
it
That's
off,
really strange,
because
man.
let's face it, the guy's a hell of a businessman.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense for him not to know all the facts,
Yeah.
and not to know what he's getting into, and not to double check and cross his T's and dot his I's before he gets there,
Yeah.
So that's what's so weird about it. But I guess nothing's happening now, right? It's completely off.
It's off as far as I've seen. I mean, based on I pulled up the Instagram.
I did see a
post.
lot of highlights of the guy he was supposed to fight, though, and he did like some crazy front kick.
Yeah.
Like out of some
he was doing
flipping
some crazy
front,
spinning kicks. Like flying spinning kicks and
something
knocking people out.
Something out of Street Fighter or something.
Training videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's apparently a bad dude. He's like an undefeated dude. Like,
I guess. Yeah,
Like
Floyd thinks so. So
yeah. So
yeah.
no, I mean that's. I don't know. I thought the whole thing was interesting because he started the day. The first thing I saw was an Instagram post where he was wearing like an MMA glove, and he just said like December 31st. That was like all like it was like something like that where it was like some cryptic message where he had the MMA glove on and it just said December 31st. And I was like, what is this? And then later on, they made the announcement like, oh, he's fighting. They did the whole press conference.
Dude,
and
does
everything like that.
even if he's paid handsomely, does Mayweather do anything that doesn't get a lot of attention? Does he do anything that isn't on pay-per-view? It makes no sense whatsoever. So somebody's blowing smoke for sure, you know?
Yeah, Vane brought up a good point. He said the language barrier too, right? So like,
I was wondering about that
he was
too.
actually saying there's a language.
Okay.
Exactly.
What'd you say? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Millions of yen? Oh, never. I thought you meant dollars, man.
So yeah, no, there's definitely a language barrier. But no, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Floyd or Gervonta Davis.
Well, the biggest problem for me is not even that that fight didn't go down for Mayweather, is that nothing's happening with Gervonta. It's like, dude, spend time on your guys.
Yeah, Gervonta Davis.
Come on. I mean, the fans want to see him.
Gervonta
wants to,
Yeah.
Should spoil him like De La Hoya does Canelo.
Yeah, and I think Gervonta is so untapped as far as his marketability and then his potential. He hasn't even peaked yet. I think he's really good.
So we're not getting the Abner Mares fight, but they did announce quite a few good fights for that card, though.
Yeah, what's on there?
Yeah, well, Luis Ortiz is going to be on the undercard. Yeah, so we're going to see Luis Ortiz.
He's always fun to watch.
Exactly. Yeah, he is.
Jarrett Hurd.
Jarrett Hurd is going to be doing his title defense on the undercard. And then Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus
Is he on there?
Alfredo Angulo.
Oh, wow. I thought Angulo was retired.
So did I.
Didn't he retire with his last fight? It was against Latin Snake, wasn't it?
Sergio Mora?
Yeah. Oh, really? Jeez, Angulo.
The Latin
I'd spar
Snake.
Angulo.
What's that?
I would love to spar Angulo.
You would love to spar Angulo?
Yeah, I had some friends that sparred Angulo. That's one pro that's active that I wouldn't be afraid to get in the ring with.
You wouldn't be afraid to get in the ring?
He's slow.
No. Who would you be afraid to get in the ring with?
Canelo. Triple G.
Charlos. You don't want those guys?
Yeah. Danny Jacobs.
Oh, man.
The lower level guys now, though. Even Chavez Jr., I'll get in there a couple rounds with him. He's a big dude, though. I'm not going to lie. He probably hits like a train.
Yeah.
Would you say you're afraid to get in the ring with anybody?
No.
Yeah, exactly. No way, right?
Like,
nerves, but not afraid, right?
Yeah.
You know, I ask everybody this. So every time I get an opportunity to talk to a pro, I ask them about the nerves thing, right? So do you still get nervous when you get into the ring? And I get a lot of mixed responses. Some people say no, of course not. I don't get it. And some people say, yeah, I still feel it, but it's So where do you lie on the spectrum? Do you still get nervous when you fight professional fights?
Yeah, I do. It depends on where my state of mind is and concentration, but
yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
But you still feel like a little anxious,
nervous.
I guess. Like, yeah, a little nervous.
Oh, yeah. It's when I wake up, it's a long day. Like, I fight in 8 hours from now.
Can you sleep like the night before the fight?
I actually sleep pretty well.
Really?
Actually.
Okay.
I can imagine that's hard, though, for some people.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But I sleep pretty good.
I always just hate waiting for things. Like, do you just feel like you want to be there and have it done?
Like, yeah, I have to deal with this for 10 hours.
How do you distract yourself? Because there is a lot of waiting. There's waiting for the weigh-in. Usually they say, get here at 12 o'clock for the weigh-in, and then you end up waiting for like 3 or 4 hours for a variety of reasons. Sometimes they're making you wait on purpose. Sometimes fighters are late. Mm-hmm. And then the day of the fight, you got to check in, like at 2 or 3 o'clock. Then you might not even fight till like 8 o'clock. How do you distract yourself or stay focused?
See, well, when I get to the venue for the fight, I like to take a little nap just to
that's good
to get off.
Really, you just chill in the locker room, like
yeah. Not easy, but I try, and I might go for a walk in the morning
just try and clear your mind.
Something like that. Just breathe.
Yeah.
Much.
Do you feel that any aspect of your amateur career helped you for that?
I suppose. I mean, if I went straight to pro, it'd be a huge difference. But I try to go back and remember my past fights in amateurs and how I felt, and like, oh, I fought this guy and it was a tough fight and I got through it just fine. So I've done it before. I can do it again, you know.
You know, I don't think I've ever asked, but how difficult is that transition, or how different is it? So when you go from amateur to your first professional fight, is the experience a very different experience, or is it something that is similar and comparable to what you experienced in the amateurs?
It was, I mean, you're pretty much doing the same thing, of course, but
Yeah.
it is different. The gloves, of course, less padding and no headgear, so you can't just hit them wherever you like. After my first fight, my hands were pretty sore from landing on the top of the head and whatnot.
Yeah.
And headbutts, of course.
Yeah, that's true. Having to deal with butts.
I've been on the bad end of a couple of those, so yeah, it's a big difference. And of course, you know, you just can take more damage.
Yeah.
Too.
So you definitely notice the adjustments then, like, or you can feel that there's a difference in there.
It's meaner.
Meaner, yeah.
Pretty much.
That's a good way to put it. It's just meaner. You know?
So what part of your game do you think you were forced to develop? Maybe not the most, but focus on first once you transitioned to pro. Like what's something that you had to develop right away?
Stylistically?
Yeah. Like something that not that you were lacking in the amateurs, but you really didn't think about it or really didn't use it, and then once you're in the pros, you're like, oh, I better start doing this.
I wouldn't say too much. Just improve a little more. I obviously have to care more about defense, because, you know, 8-ounce gloves is a lot different from the 10 or 12-ounce amateur gloves, of course. So mostly defense and making sure you cut weight right, because amateurs,
it is what it is.
Same. Yeah. I think it's more mental, mentally adjusting for me more than physical.
Do you try and stay active? Like, is there a calendar where you're like, hey, I want to fight every X amount of months, I want to fight every, or is it just kind of as the opportunities come up, that's where you're going?
A little bit of both. I mean, sometimes ideally you want to fight this amount, but sometimes fights fall through.
Sure,
like injury or sick or whatnot.
What would be a good amount for you? Like, if you were to say, the ideal situation is I would fight this frequently at this stage of my career, is it every 2 months, every 3 months? Is it more frequent than that even? Or
like, personally, I like maybe 4 times in the year.
4 times in the year.
Good fights, yeah.
That way you get good, strong training camps, like in each one of those and stuff like that. Yeah. How long do you train? What's your camp like now? Like, how long are you training in preparation for a fight? Like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or is it?
It's about 4 or 5 weeks.
5 weeks?
I mean,
okay.
Depending on when I get a
in an ideal situation.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Sometimes my fight in Vegas, I was just called up and said, okay, I get enough shape, I'll take it.
Yeah, so you stay in shape basically. Yeah. But that's a good point. Yeah, those last minute calls.
You don't always get to choose. They choose you.
That has to be an interesting negotiation though, right? So what was the notice on your Vegas fight, for instance?
2 weeks. We originally had been offered it sooner, and then we kind of left it alone because we were looking at something else.
Okay.
But then they called us again and said about 2 weeks before. So I said, okay, let's go for this. And yeah.
I mean, that's got to be tough. Like, how do you game plan for an opponent in 2 weeks?
I think that's the hardest part about being a new professional boxer or up-and-coming prospect is the uncertainty of your schedule.
Yeah.
You know, because you want to be in the best possible shape that you can be for the fight. You want to peak at your fight. However, you know, a lot of times when your fighting's in question, and then it's not actually it's not realistic to be in tip-top shape all the time. Your body's going to wear down, you know.
Exactly.
So I think that's the biggest challenge for an up-and-coming boxer, you know. And then, but that's something also that promoters and then managers and then promoters and managers use that to their advantage, and then trainers and boxers have to be aware of that so that they don't just, you know, kind of fall into, you know, they don't get picked on and then take a bad fight just because they've been on the shelf for so long, you know.
Sure.
Because you can get desperate.
I mean, there's got to be a lot. When you think about it, it's like you see guys who even are fighting in TV performances sometime. The opponent fell through. They took a fight on 1 day, 2 days notice.
Yeah.
And that always blows my mind. But then I think of, like, the upside. The, like, well, okay, I guess if you're that fighter, you actively stay in shape, and you're like, yeah, I'll fight anybody. I'll take a guy on 1 day's notice. If you actually win that fight, the upside for you must be tremendous, right? Because you just took a fight on 1 day's notice, a TV fight. And so if you win, then it's like, you know, it's almost like the biggest thing that you could do at this point in your career is take a fight on 1 day's notice.
Well, there's definitely an upside in that the other guy hasn't really prepared for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
However, I think the odds are really, really stacked against you, though, to win on the short notice like that. You know, it's kind of like buying a lotto ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because I mean, one of my guys we fought at Sam's, right, in Vegas for one of Mayweather's fights. And they gave us about 3 or 4 weeks notice, which is actually pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah,
okay.
Considering what level we were at. We lost the fight. After the fight, we saw the guy was getting interviewed, and they say, "Oh, is your pro debut? How long did you prepare for this?" And he's like, "Man, I've been waiting for this for 6 months. We had this date on our calendar. We knew we were gonna be ready." And I'm like, me and my fighter were like 6 months. Sure. We had like 3 weeks. What the hell? Wow. You know, so
Exactly.
I mean, I think that's the biggest. I wish that boxing would make it even on the schedules for both fighters, just to have 2 healthy fighters. I think the fans would be winners. I think both fighters would put on better performances. I think it would be a truer assessment of who the better fighter is. But that's not the business of boxing, though.
Well, let me ask you this. When you take a fight on short notice like that, so you have 2 weeks to prepare for this opponent, is there a sense or a feeling that you are the opponent, for lack of a better term? So meaning there's one guy who's I guess the A side, and you're being brought in as the opponent for that guy.
Yeah,
like, is that a feeling that you actually feel when you're taking that fight?
Yeah, it was a Mayweather card, and my opponent was the Mayweather fighter.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah,
so
I did come in as the opponent, so there was that pressure.
Yeah. Does it feel different than, you know, the normal traditional cards, like all-star cards where you're getting to prepare and stuff like that?
It was about the same. I mean, that actually at the venue is about the same, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that has to be interesting sometimes. Like, you know, like there are cases where if you're a guy who takes it on 1 day's notice, you know, like I'm being brought here as an opponent. They're trying to feed me to someone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, essentially, that's what it is. I'm this guy's calories for this. You know what I mean? Like, that's the sense.
Well,
I almost feel like
it
almost seems like disrespectful.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's times when and it's usually red corner, blue corner, and the blue corner is normally the opponent side, right?
Sure. Yeah. All night you see this corner is always.
Every now and then a blue corner guy will sneak out a victory out of that fight card, you know, out of all the blue corners. You get maybe 2 guys that'll pull off an upset or pull off a win. But sometimes you're in there, or, you know, when you'll see the guys coming out of the blue corner, I mean, man, it's a huge difference. You'll see a guy, you'll see the A side, he's 6'2", 168 pounds, solidly built. Then you'll see the B side, the blue corner, he's about 5'4", 168 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Very soft body, like really short, and you're just like, man. And then he goes out there, he's back like 2 minutes later. You're like, oh, that was quick.
Yes.
But he has a lot of fights, though. No,
yeah, I mean,
he's like that, but he's like a lot of fights.
Well, you know, there's a market in boxing for opponents, you know, so it's just the nature of the beast.
I mean, at that last All-Star card, they had that cat. that Freddie Roach trains, who was like 10-1 coming into the night, who was supposed to lose. I say supposed to lose. What I mean by that is they brought in an opponent for him. His opponent was, I think, 13-17 or something like that. So at 13-17, and he lost. Who, the
10-1?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never
Freddie
know.
Roach is the guy who Freddie Roach trains. Yeah, he lost.
Well, 13. Hey,
I think it was. I don't remember if it was 17-13 or 13-17.
Yeah,
I might. It was the other way around. I think.
I actually seen that guy training too. I was.
Oh really?
The opponent. Yeah,
the opponent.
I was sparring at the same gym in Maywood with. And I was like, oh, that guy's actually no joke. So.
Yeah, and he came and he won.
Well, that's what you got to be careful too, because you look at the record and you're like, well, he beat 13 guys. So my guy's only 10-1. Yeah, this guy's got 17 losses, but he beat 13 guys. So he's got it in him to win. And I've seen that before. I saw a guy named Zach Woolman.
Yeah.
Right, Kid Yamaka. It was at a bash boxing show, and he fought against a guy that was like maybe 6-18 or.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And that guy outboxed him, man. Definitely got the victory, but he didn't win. Nobody was expecting it, but you get guys, once they have high quantity of fights, they're very experienced, even if the record doesn't show it. So you just got to be careful.
Yeah, I've kind of leaned towards that. Experience can be dangerous, right? Like if you're fighting cats and they have like 40 fights, 50 fights, and even if their record is like, they've lost 30, 37 of them, you're like, well, he's been in a lot of rounds, you know what I mean? That's like a lot of he's seen a lot of different perspectives.
You said that before.
Yeah, so I think it's but it is interesting to me, sort of the mindset or the mentality of because there's so many, in boxing, especially early on in career, like you mentioned, you get frustrated sometimes seeing the opponents that are selected for people early in their career.
Yeah.
Kind of like the example that you just mentioned, the one guy who's like the super fit, clear athlete boxer versus.
Well, I'm just thinking, man, how do I get one of those? I was like, give me 10 of those. I'll come out undefeated, or let me get my guys. But that's just the nature of boxing. And if you've got a good prospect in the beginning, then you work things out where you get him good fights.
Do you think ticket sales have something to do with it though? Like, meaning, isn't it easier to get opponents like that if you're a guy who is selling many large quantities of tickets?
Yeah. Well, it's not just being a good boxer, right, Jared? It's you got to put
tickets. Yeah. That's what most people don't know about. Yeah.
Really, like the ticket sales really make a difference in your, I guess, in your opposition.
Yeah, you gotta push 70 or more tickets, and like.
Wow.
It's.
So, do you actually take on the responsibility of selling tickets for those events?
Not all of them.
But your coach does a lot.
He does the most. He sells to a ton of people at my gym, and then I sell to some friends and family. My dad sells to friends and family, and so on. So
so coach, you have to sell a bunch of tickets when your fighters are like fighting, or
you know what sucks? I like the all-star shows. I like some of I like the shows. He puts on a good show. But I sold 60 tickets one time, and he was still complaining about it. And I was like, dude, it's 60 tickets, man. I had to work my ass off for it. And the other thing is, as a coach, I'm like, well, I don't really want my fighter to worry about it too much.
That's what I was kind of getting at.
I'll let him sell what he can sell, and then I'll sell the rest of them so that he focuses on training. So it's super annoying, but it's something you have to do, especially in the beginning. And then if you're winning, you're going to build up a fan base. Should make it easier to sell tickets. But it is frustrating when the promoters, you're like, man, I sold 60 tickets. You're thinking, well, here's all this money, and I sold all your tickets. And he's like, what, this is it? You couldn't sell more? Like, dude.
Yeah. But that's kind of what I was getting at. If you're having to take on the responsibility of pitching all these or selling all these tickets, then it's kind of like that's a sort of an added mental aspect that doesn't seem like it needs to be there for a fighter.
You see a lot of good fighters not get a chance in boxing because they don't sell tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they don't get a start. They don't even get off the ground because they just don't sell tickets. They don't want to sell tickets. They're not interested in selling tickets. Or their coach or whoever, but it's just something you got to do, unless you're top-ranked amateur, highly ranked and sought-after amateur, then you're taken care of.
So, like, if you're an Olympian or something like that, then you probably have a
so anybody listening,
national champion.
if you don't want to sell tickets when you turn pro, because almost everybody has to sell tickets when you turn pro, you better work your butt off to be the best damn amateur you can be, like the best in the country, best in the world, maybe.
What you didn't know is that you'll work at the box office. Yeah. You guys work at the box office and at the gym.
Yeah, that's why it's called boxer, right?
Yeah. That's where the term comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There's the insight. Something that we have not talked about before.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I like the ticket sales aspect of it. I know that we've talked about that's important to driving. It could be important to driving a young career. For instance, meaning if you can sell a bunch of tickets, then you can manufacture, I'll say, a winning record. Right. I'll put it that way. So if you have a guy who is able to sell a ton of tickets, you can make that guy a winner for the foreseeable future based on the opposition that you select.
In theory, but a lot of times the promoter still will say, yeah, I'm going to give you a good fight or fight you're supposed to win, or, I mean, lack of a better term, an easy fight, but they're telling the other guy the same thing because they want
him to sell
tickets too. Yeah. So, it's really quite an investment in professional boxing. I mean, you really got to come in with some money if you want your guy to come out with like a super super clean record. But then I don't think that develops the fighter. I think you do what you got to do, and then get over the hump. 10, 12, 14 fights. I think once you get over that hump, then you're making some noise, and other promoters, bigger promoters, will see you and want to pick you up.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Well, that's why you're the coach, man. That's why you're bringing you on here, is for your opinion.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
No.
Appreciate that.
Oh, of course, man. I think that's it. That's all the topics I've got.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. We didn't talk about the World Boxing Super Series, but that's kind of intentional because I didn't watch the cruiserweight fights last night.
I didn't watch.
Did you guys watch them? I didn't watch them either. I mean, I pulled up the box rec. I know who won and stuff like that, but I can't really speak intelligently about it. I know that they're now advancing to the final. So, sorry about that, guys, but I didn't watch it yet. I'll go back and because it's on DAZN, and I actually can watch it now, and we were actually saying it's convenient because you can rewatch the whole card basically immediately.
Yeah.
Not like HBO or Showtime or something like that. Mm-hmm. I can go back and watch it this evening. I'll be prepared to talk about the cruiserweight. I'm not really there with the cruiserweight situation with the World Boxing Super Series. I've talked about this with Coach before.
The second one,
because it's the second one, they picked the same weight class and they didn't get Usyk involved. So like, what's the point? They're like doing the same thing, including guys who are in the first World Boxing Super Series, and now they're in it again. Like, I don't know why they did cruiserweight again.
That's a dumb move. That's like running.
I didn't get it.
That's running the same play like in football. You ran the same play. You run it up the gut. You just got stuffed. Let's do it again. Like, come on.
Well, I just think the stakes couldn't be higher, right? Because the first time they're in the World Boxing Super Series, they're doing cruiserweight, and effectively the winner of that, in this case Oleksandr Usyk, comes out the undisputed cruiserweight world champion, and he gets the trophy, and he gets the Ring Magazine belt, he gets all the accolades, he gets everything that you could take in the division. So now to say, hey, we're going to do that again, but we're going to do it without this guy. So it's like, so it's none of the belts, right? It's like none of the belts. It's none of the Ring Magazine thing. None of the notoriety. It's just like, so it just seems anticlimactic because they just did the most that they could do with one division.
Well, they're probably doing it because whatever promoter is putting the Super Series has all the cruiserweights or something. Does that not have anything to do with it?
I don't know, maybe, but
those are house fighters and they're all cruiserweights. So that's the only division they could really control right now. But I mean, it would make sense to do other divisions And then, it would make more sense to make it a division that doesn't get a lot of attention but has some really good fighters.
I thought cruiserweight made sense for the first round for that
First
reason.
time,
Yeah, cruiserweight is kind of I don't know what the right terminology is, but it's a division that I think often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants those fighters to go and fight at heavyweight. Like, for some reason, cruiserweight accomplishments don't seem to be enough.
No.
For spectators.
They're like
if you're a cruiserweight and you did everything you could do, then you go do something at heavyweight.
Yeah, they're like B-grade heavyweight, almost heavyweights,
Exactly.
And it's always been like that.
And you look at guys who are like, Evander Holyfield and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
or Bert, you ever heard of Bert Cooper? He was a hell of a cruiserweight. You kind of fight like Bert Cooper.
Yeah, like
yeah.
A little bit like Joe Frazier.
Frazier's cousin or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I think I just feel like cruiserweights are overlooked, so I think it was a great choice for the first series. Yeah. But once you basically made a unified champion, which doesn't exist almost anywhere in boxing, right? It's such a tremendous accomplishment that to then do the same division again seems silly when you can't achieve the same result. They should have just picked a different division.
Yeah, very anticlimactic.
So I'll still watch it. I just haven't watched it yet, but I'll still watch it. But I do have kind of a beef with the fact that they pick cruiserweight instead of some of these other divisions.
Yeah,
big time.
Most of them aren't very interested in testing.
They also got the 118 pounders. That's good.
Yeah, I mean they're running 3. To be fair, right? They're doing 3 different weight divisions this time, and so it's not. So super lightweight, bantamweight, cruiserweight. So I have no problem with super lightweight, bantamweight. I just feel like they could have picked a better division than cruiserweight, really.
I will say this. I love that trophy, though, man.
The
it's
Muhammad
like
Ali
one of the
trophy?
coolest trophies. Yeah, I mean, as far as sports, all sports, I know that trophy hasn't been around for a long time, but I say, man, they did a great job designing that.
The Muhammad Ali trophy. It is a great design.
Yeah, that.
There's this photo of Oleksandr Usyk after he won, and it's like my favorite photo. He's like just lounging on his couch or a couch somewhere, and he has his belts and the trophy. So like the belts are like draped all over the couch and on the coffee table, and then he's got the trophy standing there, and you're just like, wow, dude, that's that's pretty legit. Yeah, it's about as good as it gets. But like, yeah, I mean, there are other good divisions. Like I think bantamweight's good just because these guys don't get the same visibility as some of the heavier weight divisions sometimes.
Yeah, they don't.
So like I think bantamweight is a good division. Highlighting some of these divisions that have good fighters that aren't as well known because they're not like welterweight and above. I feel like the lower weights don't get the same attention. It's like welterweight and above, but it skips cruiserweight.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I'm not sure why it does that, but like welterweight and above get all the attention except for cruiserweight that goes to the background.
I don't know why.
But so yeah, bantamweight's good, super lightweight's good. But we'll see.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask Jarrett, is there anybody in your weight division that you kind of got your eye on? Maybe as an opponent, it's a good fight in the.
I can't. There is, but I can't really.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's a secret.
Yeah.
Not
Use
yet.
Discretion on that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Who is it? We won't tell nobody.
Big things coming.
Well, hopefully.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it in the bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It'll be a surprise.
exactly.
Well, we'll hear about it when it happens.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
And then you could come back on.
That's true. That's true.
We'll get some sparring. I got a 132 for you. I mean, he walks around like at 35. I'll get him in there with you.
Oh,
yeah.
great.
And then Vaughn is he's back in the gym.
Oh, he's back, huh?
Yeah, he's actually teaches class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, him and I don't know if you ever met Vaughn, but he's one of
I don't think so.
He's one of our trainers in the gym.
No, I haven't met him.
They used to have some good sparring matches here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
He fought one of our guys too. Beat him
cool.
in the Golden Gloves.
In the Golden Gloves?
That's right.
Nice.
He won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys have some good sparring matches here.
Yeah.
Huh? Nice. So, when's the last time you guys sparred each other? These gyms,
Vaughn?
DG boxing.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Been a while?
Years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been some years.
Some years.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you work at the gym, are you training people at the gym as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, do pads and whatnot.
Yeah, you do the mitts?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
His trainer actually trained with, remember Champ?
Yes, I do.
And Champ used to work for us.
I do remember Champ.
Champ trained his trainer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. DG, it stands for David Gonzalez, no? There you
Mhm.
go. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do remember Champ, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Champ worked with his trainer for a long time. I
Who's
think he
Champ?
is this older Tongan guy. He passed away earlier this year,
Yeah.
but he was in the '84 Olympics representing Tonga.
Oh,
He was
wow.
a kickboxing champ, and everybody just knew him as Champ.
Oh, okay. I know. What you're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. One of his claims to fame was that he was supposed to play Tong Po in kickboxer.
How have I never heard that until right now?
Did you know that about
No,
Champ?
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he said he was cast as Tong Po in kickboxer,
You just blew my mind.
but then he actually said that he like punched the director, so then they got rid of him.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it's remarkable. That's
That's-
awesome,
That's a Champ story for you, though.
Oh,
man. I love
He was
all
a
the, I
character,
love all
though,
the
man. He's
cheesy
awesome.
movies, man. I do. I get in.
Kickboxer wasn't cheesy.
Oh, come on. It's totally cheesy, but it's fantastic. I've watched them all.
You
Did
mean-
you know there's like 5 of them and then 2 remakes, and I've watched them
they
all?
get bad after they get bad from three on up, but 1 and 2 is okay.
I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they have 2 new ones that just came out.
Oh, yeah, I
like
said-
and then one of them has Dave Bautista as Tong Po.
Oh no,
crazy.
way.
wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with that for more than 2 minutes. I just
Oh,
like,
why not?
turn it off.
Oh, you gotta watch it. Come on. Are
First
you guys
one-
gonna watch Rocky?
Yeah, Creed. You
Watching
mean
Creed
Creed?
too?
Yeah,
Creed,
yeah.
also
It's all
known as Rocky 7
It's all
or
Rocky.
Rocky 8.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're watching that.
yeah.
It's
of
really
course,
Rocky
right?
8, right?
I'm gonna go on Thanksgiving. I'm going. I think
Oh,
that's
that's
when it
gonna be-
opens. That's what I'm
gonna be
doing on my
busy.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny about
I'm dead serious.
there was this movie
Devoted.
there was this movie called Spaceballs. You remember Spaceballs?
Of course, yeah.
And then there's this scene where
Lone Star, man.
There's this scene where they're in Lone Star's like Winnebago and they're watching TV and this guy comes on, so and so is doing a review on the next on movie Rocky 5000.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's like, and this was made like in 1988 and you're like, Rocky 5000. I don't think he's gonna make that many. Here we are, 2018. We're like on Rocky 8 now.
Yeah,
So
just
he's gonna
still
keep going. Yeah.
Dude, I'm totally gonna go watch Dolph Lundgren back in the Rocky series.
Dude, but who would have thought that'd be? I mean, did they think about this when they made Rocky 4? They're like, hey, this is a good movie. I'll see you in 30 years. Let's do it.
Rocky's like
Wonder.
Superman. I think they could just keep going. And just
Hey,
keep, like James Bond. They
dude,
should make it.
So-
just keep making it.
Sylvester Stallone is
Rambo
in
too. Just
crazy
keep making
shape,
them.
bro. He's 70 and he is
Yeah.
amazing shape though.
Yeah, I know.
Ridiculous.
You know, he's ripped, man. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. Have you been? I follow Dolph Lundgren. I started following Dolph Lundgren on Instagram, and that dude's in shape too. Like he got into shape. He's like on the cover of Muscle and Fitness and stuff like that. You know, he's a rocket scientist.
Is he?
Yeah, dude.
Real life?
Yeah,
Dude, no way.
he's like a genius. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
I can look it up. He's like some degree in astrophysics or something. I don't know.
I could
He's
barely
up there.
pass geometry. God damn.
I didn't even make it to that. So
Don't forget Rocky 5 with Tommy. How could I forget Rocky 5?
That's one of the best ones.
Coach and I actually were debating this. It's funny. So the other day we were debating the best Rocky movies, and Rocky 5 came up, and we were kind of like, no, this one's not good. And then at the end of it, I was like, I don't know what we're all talking. We watch them all anyway. And he was like, yeah, like I watch them all. I like them all. I think they're
There's
all
like
great.
there's like a special place in your heart for all Rocky movies.
For all
it's weird,
even
you know?
Rocky 5.
Yeah. You're like you're scanning through the TV and you see what's on, and then you pass through and you see, oh, there's Rocky 5. Well, I'll watch it. It's a little cheap.
I'll watch Rocky 5.
All right, that was a insignificant Rocky, but I'll watch it anyways. You know.
Tommy Morrison, man.
Yeah, and that now that Tommy's passed away and he was a legitimate heavyweight. I mean that makes it even cooler. You know.
Rocky 3 is the best. What?
Rocky 3 is pretty badass because that's when Rocky loses his mojo, and then Creed has to take him back to the hood to find it again. You know?
Yeah.
Just so he
To
can
find it
just so he can beat Clubber Lang.
Sounds familiar.
Okay, so they said Clubber Lang is the best. I can dig that. I like Clubber Lang was definitely a good
As far as the
antagonist.
best, yeah, the best
He is
like
a good
villain.
antagonist,
Rocky.
but I don't know about. I mean, the first Rocky was pretty good. This is like an Academy Award nominated movie.
They're
They
all
get
good.
they get a little.
I think Rocky 4.
They're all good. I love them all. Yeah.
I think number 1 and 4 are the best though.
Yeah, but you said you didn't like Balboa, right? Or not? You didn't like Balboa, but he was like your least favorite of the franchise.
That's where he fights.
That's the one with
Mason
Antonio
Line Dixon.
Tarver. Yeah.
It made no sense to me at all.
But you still watch it when it's on.
I still watched it.
Yeah.
I had to. You gotta follow his journey. You know.
Did you watch the one with
Compose.
Antonio Tarver?
No,
You
I
didn't watch
didn't.
that one? Oh man.
Did it?
But I'm super glad that Creed, like, now there's gonna be like Creed 5. You know.
Yeah.
And
they
then
can
what
keep
happened?
making 'em.
And then what happens when, like, God forbid, but when Sylvester Stallone does pass away? I mean,
They can still make Creed movies.
yeah, that's what's crazy, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It's like James Bond or something, you know?
They
They just
got
keep
CGI him
going.
in there or something.
And then his
They
Creed.
could do that now.
What?
Yeah, CGI him. in
Oh
there.
yeah.
You see, it happens in all the movies now.
No, but then Sylvester Stallone, in Rocky will have like a long lost, I don't know, nephew, a grandson or something, and then Creed will be old and he'll train him, Rocky's grandson.
Their grandsons.
Give him
30 years
ideas.
from now, their
Yeah.
grandsons fight.
But I'm interested to see the Creed story as far as, man, that's interesting because I thought I had Rocky 4 in VHS, when I was like 8 years
Yeah.
old, and I watched it like 100 million times, and Carl Weathers as Creed was such an important character in the first 3, and then he dies, in Rocky's arms. So I'm just interested to see how this all plays out as far as the revenge or avenging his father's death at the hands of Ivan Drago,
Yeah.
and like how that plays out. I mean, I don't.
It looks like he's going to lose to him
Well, I'm not really sure.
first, at least.
Really, I heard they fight twice, right?
I've been watching I feel like they're giving away a little bit too much in the previews because it looks like he loses to him at least one time. Just looking at the previews, you're like, okay, he loses to him once, and then maybe he comes back and he wins.
I love
Andre Ward's in it, so I assume he's going to have to fight Andre Ward at some point.
Well, I love usually like the messages of the Rocky movies, but I'm not sure I like the message in this Rocky movie if it's like a complete vengeance. It's like, you killed my father, I must kill you.
Yeah.
That's like a Princess Bride. Remember?
Yeah, Inigo Montoya, you killed my father. We should.
Six-fingered
You know what we
man.
should do? The three of us should sit down and react to the Rocky fight scenes. So as a professional boxer and a professional boxing coach, we'll sit here and watch Rocky fight scenes and break them down.
He blocks jabs with his head.
Yeah,
He does like a karate block jab to Clubber Lang.
just
You're
pick apart the choreography.
yes, dude.
It's great for dramatics.
We should do it.
Super unrealistic.
Yeah.
I think if anybody fought like that, they'd be dead.
What's the most
Super CTE.
What's the most unrealistic moment in the Rocky fights that you can recall?
He gets knocked down real fast. He gets back up, gets knocked
And
down
just
again,
keeps
like
going.
instantly.
He's just fine.
With no
man.
count?
Yeah,
There's no count at
gets
all.
up.
He just gets right back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Or then
Is
he's
there a
how
moment
How
where you're
many
like this?
knockdowns and just
Oh,
the
he
knockdowns,
he must get
it's,
knocked down like
I
15
don't
times
know how
against
many,
Dolph Lundgren.
but it's
I think the
Shit,
most
I-
unrealistic when he's I think when Polly's like telling him he's getting beat in there. No, he's not getting. He's getting mad, and then he's like, come on, hit me,
Yeah.
come on, hit me,
yeah.
come on, hit me, and he's just getting mad.
I don't know. I see people do that.
Yeah.
You
You
do
see people talking.
Right, yeah.
Mayorga does that stuff.
Yeah, but Mayorga usually
Mayorga.
gets his ass beat though.
He goes away. Yeah, he
Yeah,
actually gets knocked
he
out.
actually gets knocked out.
Yeah,
How about
doesn't
this?
work.
the whole Rocky 2 ending where he falls down. Rocky wasn't knocked down. He wouldn't be counted out.
He threw the punch, knocked
He
him down.
throws
They both
he
fell
throws
down,
a
right?
punch. He hits Apollo Creed, and they both fall down. And then they start counting both fighters for some reason. Rocky could stay down for as long as he wants. There's no way. There's no way he could lose that fight.
Oh, you kind of ruined the
You
dramatic
would,
effect.
nobody. Yeah, it would ruin the dramatic effect. But there's no landed punch.
Yeah.
There's no landed punch.
That's true.
Take it up with Stallone. He wrote it.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna be like, hey, you realize that Rocky didn't have to stand up. He still would have won.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, I gotta go watch the. I haven't seen it yet, but I think it's Chuck. It's called Chuck. It's the Chuck Wepner story about supposedly the
documentary?
Real Rocky or something?
the real Rocky.
The guy who fought Muhammad Ali.
Yeah,
Knocked him down. Yeah.
I think it's on Amazon Prime. I'm gonna go check that out. When
I didn't know he had a documentary. I've seen
the
the fight.
It's a full movie. It's
oh, okay. Oh, like a biopic or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Go watch it when you get home.
Yeah, I've seen the fight between him and Muhammad Ali though, where he
really?
knocks Ali down. Yeah. Makes him mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll be watching Creed.
That's the other. Oh, when we were saying all the sideshow stuff about Floyd Mayweather, I mean, Muhammad Ali fought that wrestler, dude. You remember that?
Oh yeah, I meant to bring that up actually. Yeah.
And George Foreman fought 5 men in one night.
Yeah, and Rocky fought.
You remember that?
And Rocky fought.
Rocky fought Thunderlips.
Thunderlips, the Ultimate Male, aka Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I mean,
I think it's been going on a long time. It's not just Floyd who does this stuff.
Yeah,
Muhammad did it too.
Yeah, but
and George Foreman.
at least, but Floyd made it seem like it was gonna be a real fight, or the people that he started working with made it seem like it was gonna be a real fight. So, if it's an exhibition match, because we already seen him do WWE. He already punched Big Show in the face, So if you're gonna do that again, do that again.
He did do that.
Yeah,
Big Show in the face.
Yeah. So I mean, it's totally different, man. I think what he did was disrespectful to the fans, man. Because like either, and somebody was criticizing me because supposedly Floyd never does anything right in the eyes of his, I guess, critics. But it's like, dude, either in or out. But don't kind of like, don't dangle a carrot in front of people, and then pull it away and just. And if you're the best ever, why don't you fight some of these young guys that are coming up?
Yeah, it is true. It is there's always young guys coming up. That's the thing.
Always is.
There's always young guys coming up. He can't just keep fighting the young undefeated people who keep coming up.
Why not? Bernard Hopkins did.
Yeah, look what happened to Bernard Hopkins. That's why you don't keep doing it.
Yeah, but he went till he was 50 though. He was like damn near 51.
I got a point.
I mean, Floyd could go. He's in such good shape. Best ever. Go to your 45.
Yeah,
then call it a day.
But like, it's kind of like what Joe Calzaghe said, right? When they said, "Hey, you're leaving the UK right now, and there's 2 people here who you haven't fought yet, right? There's Mikkel Kessler and there's Carl Froch. You haven't fought these guys." And he said he wants to go and take the money fights against Roy Jones Jr. and those guys. He said, I can't just – there's always going to be some undefeated guy I haven't fought yet. This kind of was his perspective. There's always going to be some young undefeated dude I haven't fought yet. And at this point in my career, I have to decide, do I go and make this money fights or do I stay here and just keep fighting young undefeated fighters?
Yeah.
He ended up being tempted to stay back and fight Mikkel Kessler. He never did fight Carl Froch, right? But I kind of understand the point, which is that you can't just –
Of course.
You can't – there's always going to be some dude who's the next dude. Like, you know what I mean?
For sure. There's always somebody to fight.
Yeah, there's always somebody to fight. Like, you can't do it forever. You know what I mean? And there is some truth to the I saw, like, the comments and stuff where people say, yeah, if you hate on Floyd, then it doesn't matter what he does, right?
Yeah,
you'll always be hateful. And you do see that a lot.
Yeah.
There are people, like, you could not change their mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say. It's true with not just Floyd, but a lot of different fighters. There are some times where it's like, yeah, you just can't change someone's mind. It doesn't matter what you're bringing to the table. But
well, for sure he's gonna fight. I think Manny Pacquiao next year.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so.
That could be dangerous. That could be dangerous for Floyd.
Let's hope it is. So at least it's more interesting.
You don't think
than
so?
the last
You don't think
one.
it's dangerous for him still?
I think it'll be the same, honestly.
It's just hard to say because Floyd hasn't had a boxing match, like a real boxing match, in so long. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't fought an actual boxer in by that time it will be over 3 years, right?
Berto was his last fight,
Mm-hmm.
boxing match, and then McGregor was just an exhibition match.
Yeah, exactly. McGregor doesn't. I don't really count that as like a thing. But we got a Broner Beats pack. You broke the consensus, man. We were all on the same page on the comments and everything like that. Yeah. So basically, we had spoken about the Broner and Pacquiao fight, and we all said Pacquiao kind of for the same reason, right? Which is that Pacquiao beats Broner because Broner freezes up. Pacquiao throws a lot of combinations. he doesn't throw punches in return when people are doing that.
Right.
And I think we were all sort of aligned through the comments, and everybody sort of agreed. But we got someone who jumped on and said Broner beats Pac. So I was like, oh, you broke the consensus. You deviated from the pack.
From the norm, yeah.
Deviated from the pack here.
Okay.
That's all right though. We'll see. We'll see how it is. But no, I think it's just hard to say with somebody at Floyd's age, which catches everyone. You know, it catches everyone. You see it happen.
That's true.
And you haven't really seen him put on a world-class performance in at least 3 years by the time he gets to that fight. And he got touched by McGregor sometimes when he shouldn't have. He mistimed some right hands early that were like his bread and butter punch. You know what I mean? Like the pullback counter right hand. And like when he caught that uppercut early on against McGregor, it wasn't because McGregor had great timing. It was because Floyd missed a pullback counter, right? So Floyd pulled back through the right hand lead, and he missed. And then McGregor caught him with an uppercut, right? And now, granted, that uppercut didn't phase Floyd, but had it been delivered by somebody who was actually like a proper trained boxer, like if that was an uppercut that came from Canelo, you know, then it would be a different story.
I think we're gonna see Floyd and Pac-Man and Floyd and Canelo. And then maybe Floyd and somebody, And I think the Floyd and maybe one of the other young guys. As far as beating, I'd love to see Canelo beat Floyd.
You'd love to see anybody beat
Floyd. No, I don't. Just to see if he's improved that much. I don't know if
it doesn't prove he's improved that much. That's the thing. Floyd deteriorating doesn't prove that somebody is way better than they were before.
Yeah, I don't know if Pacquiao can beat Mayweather. To be honest with you. I don't think he can. And if Floyd fought, say, like a Keith Thurman, that'd be a good fight, or somebody along those lines.
If he ever fights again.
Yeah, that's true. We'll say anybody else that's along those lines.
So like a Sean Porter.
I would cheer for Floyd because I would want to see him beat one of these younger guys and just. I definitely.
I'll believe it when I see it.
No, on that type of fight, I would cheer for Floyd.
Yeah?
I'd want to see. Yeah, because I feel like that's him really challenging himself. You know.
Right.
So we got a comment that says I'd like to see Floyd versus Porter. I actually think that's like the most interesting stylistically. The only style that has ever proven to be difficult for Floyd Mayweather. Is that reckless abandon style, the style where you're just like, oh, I'm throwing punches, man. I'm throwing them every direction, over the top, underneath, and I'm going to throw, let's say, 100-plus punches around, right? And I think if you could throw 100-plus punches around, you give the judges a very big dilemma because Floyd's not going to up his output to 60 punches around, right?
Especially not now.
Exactly, right? So he's still going to land clean counters. But now they're having to weigh. The judges are having to look and go, okay, well, what matters more, 100 punches, and where some of them land, but they're not all that clean, or Floyd's, 12 counter punches. And it actually gives the judges something to think about. It's one of the reasons I think Marcos Maidana is so successful, because you look at it and you're like, his volume is just causing judging dilemmas, where judges are having to go, who do I give that round to? And I'm going to give it to the guy who throws it.
I don't see how Floyd won that fight.
The first one?
First one.
Yeah, it was a close fight. For sure. It was a close fight. But I think that's why it was close. And the reason that the second fight was not close is because Marcos Maidana dropped his punch output. And I believe that the game plan was that they wanted to conserve energy, right? So they wanted Marcos Maidana to have more energy and throw less punches. But the reason it was a bad game plan is the only reason they were in that fight to begin with is because he was throwing so many punches.
Why he was successful
exactly. So as soon as they cut his punch output, he didn't have a chance. Floyd ran away with that whole fight because Maidana wasn't throwing enough punches.
It was that check from the first fight that slowed him down. The Floyd money he got paid in the first fight. That's what slowed him down.
No, look at the punch output. Look at the punch output. It's just not the same.
Then they signed the rematch. He was like, "I'm paid. I ain't doing shit this time." No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe.
But I do think that Sean Porter has that kind of style. Not in his last fight. For some reason against Danny Garcia, he tried to stay on his toes and do some boxing.
He actually boxed really well though when he did. I thought he did.
He did, but I felt he was more successful when he reverted to being Sean Porter, which is
I thought he was being successful doing both though.
Yeah. But it was a close fight. Like I might have even given Danny the edge in that fight. I don't remember.
Really?
It was a close fight.
It was a close
I didn't
fight.
think it was like a. I didn't
Porter
think Sean ran away with it.
Outworked him though. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly.
But that's the point. I think the work rate is the only thing that's proven to be a challenge when you can give the judges that dilemma. If you're not going to give the judges that dilemma, then you have to knock them out. That's it. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
not going to outbox him. Right.
No. That's why you have to give them a clear judging dilemma, or you have to knock them out. Well, that's really the only way to go.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, Floyd at this stage, he's in and he's out. He's talking about exhibition fights, MMA, whatever. I'd love to see him fight one of these really strong young guys that poses significant challenge, and I would absolutely cheer for him. I'd love to see him win, Yeah.
Well, at that point, if you do that, then,
Because then you're like, man, that guy is really good.
Yeah. But it's true. Like, there are people who, do you think that would convince all people who you see posting comments and stuff like that on Facebook? No way, man.
No,
they would find some way to say
on
they would find some way to say that it was a cherry-picked opponent and all that.
They'll see what they want to see.
Yeah, exactly. Floyd still sucks, and like he handpicked all his opponents and all this. Yeah, exactly. All the same stuff that everybody says all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he came back and he beat Sean Porter, people would still say that.
Yeah, they would start saying Sean Porter's not even that good.
Exactly. Sean Porter could barely beat
sucks.
Danny Garcia.
Yeah, they'd say some stupid shit.
Yeah, Sean Porter got dropped by Adrian Broner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's...
he lost to Keith Thurman.
He lost.
Why doesn't Floyd fight Keith Thurman?
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, Keith Thurman's like arm fell off.
I don't know what's up with him. He just doesn't want to fight.
He's supposedly coming back. I heard he had a fight lined up.
I've been hearing that forever.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't know.
Oh, man. Anyways, what do you think, guys? You want to call it?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, man.
All right.
Let's enjoy the rest of the Sunday.
Real quick, you want to plug your Instagram, your gym, all that stuff again?
My gym is DG Boxing Long Beach, and my Instagram is Jarret Jeter. That's JarretJeter.
All right.
And that's it.
And, of course, make sure to follow us, Beat the Count on Instagram and Facebook, Sweet Science Boxing Gym on YouTube. And we have the podcast on, I can't even remember all of them now. What is it? iTunes, Podbean, Google Play Music, Spotify, so you can find us any way that you can. Yeah, check that out. Yeah. But that's it for this week.
Wait, big shout out to all the veterans, right? It's going to be Veterans Day.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Today or tomorrow? What?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, so
tomorrow? Right on.
Either way, shout out to all the veterans, all the good men and women that keep this country safe and do all the work they got to do.
Definitely.
So appreciate you guys. Big shout out to you guys. Stay safe and enjoy time with your family.
And it's my anniversary. I forgot about that.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Oh, you forgot.
Happy anniversary. There you go. I threw it in
hope
there.
she's watching.
She doesn't watch the show. No, it's just kidding. All right, guys, that's it for this week on Beat the Count. We'll be back next week with another episode. Appreciate you.
All right.
Peace.